Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Becky Talks Parks podcast. This is episode number 10, and today I'm going to be talking about the last year. It has been officially 1 year since I started this project, so I'm going to give you a rundown on what it was like to begin this Becky Talks Parks blog and podcast, and some different lessons that I've learned along the way. Thank you guys so much for listening so far and for giving me such great feedback, and for those of you who have reached out for an interview, I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so excited because I think that means that this project is going somewhere, that people care about Parks and Recreation. And I knew that all along, but just for us to get together and have conversations around not only what Parks and Recreation is really like today, but talking about what we can do in the future to make it even better. So in May of 2017, I started this project, and the concept was simple, but I wasn't really sure what it was going to be yet. The mission was simply to raise the bar in Parks and Recreation, and I wanted to explore what that actually meant. So I toyed around with how I was going to accomplish this mission. You know, some of the ideas that I had were, should I develop a news site that updates professionals with current trends? Should I create a social forum that openly shares information with others in the field? Should I give video tours in parks that I'm visiting and showcase all the best practices? The sky was the limit for me. It really was. I had so many different ideas, but so was my time and my energy. And for quite a while, I sat by myself just looking for clarity and figuring out how I was going to narrow this down and make sure that it was something meaningful. I really wanted to change the way we look at parks in a new way, but the truth is that I couldn't do it alone. And it's a really humbling experience to realize that I couldn't do what I wanted to do without the help of others. And I know we've all heard it. It takes a team, and connections are key, and it's not who you know, it's what you know. And I say all that stuff too, but when you're absurdly ambitious, a little naive, and naturally impatient, it's really scary, and it's a little ego-shattering to reach out and ask for help. And I hated to be put on the spot all the time because I was afraid of not knowing the answer. And I always felt like the next moment was the make it or break it moment of my career. And when I met new people, my mind ran with 1,000 different thoughts and just kind of wondering, you know, what people would think about this project, or like, am I presenting this right? A lot of things, just a lot of self-doubt came in my way. And it's so funny, after 10 episodes, I feel so much more confident in what I'm doing because I finally have started to reach out and understand that without others, you can't succeed. Without others, you don't have the feedback that you need in order to make progress. So the truth is that I have made more progress just in the last few months since I started to do this podcast. And all the podcast is just a conversation with Parks and Recreation professionals. And this project is only valuable because of the insights that they bring to the table. They give it life. And, you know, I think in the beginning, I created this because I wanted to change the way we look at parks. But what I realized is that even though I have experience in Parks and Recreation field, and now I'm a consultant with Greenplay, the truth is that I know nothing. Like, just as a human being, I know nothing. And I've got so much more to learn, and every single day I'm just getting 1% better. I think accepting this truth has made me a lot more comfortable in scary situations, such as speaking or, voicing my ideas and thoughts. And I learned something really valuable about this whole experience, and that is that the world isn't quite as scary as I thought it was. And we have an incredibly talented, wise, compassionate, and generous group of people in the field of Parks and Recreation. And it makes sense. I mean, we all care about the communities that we're in, the vision that we have, and we just are thinking beyond ourselves. And for that, I think there's just so much potential to carry on this network of professionals who care so much about not only this field, but of course, the communities and cities that they live in. And I think what I want to talk about next is kind of how this the project that I got started in and some of the hurdles that I faced can be similar or can be compared to some of the hurdles that government agencies and Parks and Recreation departments are working through right now. I know that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but hang in there with me because I hope to bring it back. But what I believe and what I'm seeing is that there is a movement of people who actually care about their places far more than we think. Okay. When you work for a government agency, like most of us do, you have your own task, your own budget, your own staff, your own parks, your own facilities, and you have so much to care for, and you're working so hard that it's really hard to look up and see what's actually happening and how important the work you do is. So I'm going to give you a new perspective. Just believe for a second that there's an entire movement where people care about their places far more than we think. Some of them may be you. Some of them may be small business owners. Some of them may be culture creators or co-creators. Some of them might be citizens who volunteer in your parks. And some of them might be the kids that are currently in your programs. But overall, we are witnessing a collective shift happening towards community building and placemaking. And the best part of it is that you are part of it. Communities are built through agencies like Parks and Recreation, and it's not as complicated as you might think. If you are in the process of connecting sidewalks, promoting bike tourism, engaging teens and youth, building pop-up parks and green space, encouraging active living, or hosting community events, all of those things, whatever you're doing, it matters. It matters because we are improving quality of life. Quality of life, it's a nice buzzword these days, so I'm going to jump on the bandwagon. And it's hard because this term is truly quite complex, and I don't attempt to define that. I think that it's multidimensional, and I also think that it's deeply personal. But regardless, I think we know it when we see it. In his book, For the Love of Cities, Peter Kayagaga, which I know I did not say his name right, he addresses the dynamic of city government, and he talks about how cities should, yes, first and foremost, be safe and functional. We talk about fixing potholes and paving new roads, and all that is fine, but cities can also be meaningful, and they should be loved, and they should be fun and exciting, and we can do those things through small changes. And we can do that through Parks and Rec. And whether it's maintaining your parks and facilities so that people go there and are just surprised and shocked by how well maintained it is. Or maybe it's your greenway, making sure that that's nice and clean so that people feel like it's a place to take care of. Or maybe it's when you go to a community event, it's just someone being there to welcome that family into the door. There's so many different things, so many cool things that people are doing out there, but you've got to realize that those are important, and it's not just making your agency look or be better. It really is influencing the way that people look at their cities and their places, and it's a way that you make people feel about the places that truly matters. So we need to work on that. And I think that's something that I've thought about for a while. I'm going to say it's probably true. But I'm also going to say it's a controversial statement because we live all over the country, so it's hard to know. But this is my truth, is that it is no longer acceptable for governments to be mediocre. I'm going to say that again. It is no longer acceptable for governments to be mediocre. Collecting a paycheck and hiding in your office doesn't cut it. Complaining about the taxpayers who have a concern is unproductive. Criticizing your employed millennials because they want to make an impact is self-defeating. We have to raise the bar. And please don't doubt this, that private businesses are seeing an opportunity in Parks and Recreation far more than Parks and Recreation professionals. For anyone scared of partnering with others and putting somebody else's name on their parks or in their facilities, I get it, and I totally understand. I even cringe when I see a McDonald's logo plastered on a playground sign. But we have to ask ourselves, why are we afraid to reach out and build partnerships that build our community? Is our collective ego so big that we can't accept help from those that want to give us money? Are we relying on completely outdated policies or policies that don't exist yet to determine how we're going to go about building partnerships? Why are we afraid that our citizens will shame us for collaborating with business owners? We need to be able to partner up And we need to be able to establish policies upfront before those partnerships even exist. This is not a scenario where you figure it out as you go, because these opportunities come and go so quickly, and you're losing out on money and partnering and so many different resources simply by not thinking ahead and not setting your values towards collaboration and partnership. Just like I became frozen in my own doubts and insecurities when I started the Becky Talks Sparks podcast, I believe that our organizations are frozen in their policies, regulations, and fears. They hear a new idea and think that it'll never happen. We've done it before. We didn't get support. It didn't work. The mayor's against it. My boss won't like it. Whatever those reasons may be, we need to take those out of our vocabulary and figure out actually how to get things done. Because there is always a way. And I know that local government requires a lot of patience and a lot of tactfulness in the way that you approach issues. But I also think that there is a greater opportunity for us to be persistent in what we do. And so by us taking a few moments to strategically think what is most important in our lives and what is most important to our communities, then we'll be more willing to fight for what we want. And trust me, it gets old to hear, and your citizens are tired of engaging with people who don't listen to them and take action. Your citizens will stop engaging if you keep doing this. So it's time to open our ears, open our hearts, and start getting personal and start getting real and realize that people want to love our parks and they want to love our facilities. And it starts with us being proud of the fact that we offer so much to our communities. The next generation of leaders needs you to step up and allow them the opportunities because they want to make an impact too. So make these changes and you won't wonder why the heck Parks and Recreation is undervalued, because you'll finally understand it. It's actually past time to raise the bar in Parks and Recreation, and we all need to be a part of this movement. It starts with us. Let's do it now. Let's do it yesterday. Let's do it today, and let's do it tomorrow. You guys, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I just had to get all that out. I wrote this actually on an airplane, and I think that it resonates. I think that so many different Parks and Recreation departments have so many different struggles, but we can't stay in our bubble. We have to realize that the work we do is so much more than the work we do at our desk, or even the teams that we're in. It's a lot bigger than that. If you haven't subscribed to my email newsletter, please do that. I'm about to send out another monthly newsletter. I do that once a month, and you're going to have my newest episodes on there, and I'm also going to have some tips and tricks and different resources as well, so definitely go check that out. And if you like this episode, please share it. Hoping to get more people to find out about it and just embrace the Parks and Recreation culture. I have some t-shirts on my website for sale too. They say, I love Parks and Recreation, and I also have one that says changing lives through Parks and Rec. So go check them out. Thank you guys so much for listening. I look forward to continuing the conversation, and I've got a bunch of interviews that I need to get lined up because we've got a lot of amazing professionals who are excited to be on this podcast. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys next week.